I became a designer in 1994 officially. It was my second career, and I was about 32 years old, and my mom said to me, "Honey, this is your passion, and if you don't do it now, you will turn around and you're 40 and the years just go by, and you'll be sorry that you didn't do it." So I had two small children. I traveled into Manhattan for 4 years on the 6:39 train. Initially I started off part-time, but in the last year I had to go full-time because that's how you completed your degree. So it was pretty intense, but it's probably one of my greatest professional accomplishments.
Great. And why did you choose to become a designer?
I think when you're artistic, there's something in your blood that just, you're always doing something creative, and I think for a lot of designers or people like myself who it's their second career, they are doing so much for other people and they're always admiring what you do. But for me, it was really important to have the education to, I think, have the credentials that I felt a client needed to depend on, and I think that it also gave me credibility. So I started the Fashion Institute of Technology in 1990, and as I said, I started there part-time, and it was a phenomenal education. It's actually a state school. Unlike Parsons or the New York School of Interior Design, which are fabulous schools, FIT is extremely technical, and I think that's where my strengths lie. You know, I think that with each client, because it is actually a design process, and that's what I love most about being an interior designer, when I initially meet with a client, I really want to get to know who they are, what their lifestyle is. And I think initially, I just really want to establish some sort of relationship with them. It's not always on the first meeting that a client will hire me to do their kitchen. I will set up an appointment. I will go to their homes. Now this is another opportunity for me to get to meet with them. It's always a privilege for me to be invited into someone's home, because it's a very special place for them, and they just, you know, you just don't let strangers into your home. And initially meeting me, you know, they don't really know who I am. They don't really know if we're going to click, if I'm really going to understand what they're looking to achieve. So I think that is a critical part of the process for me. After the second time when I go to their home, then we've started to establish a rapport. And what I do is listen to all their needs, their requirements, their wish lists. Again, like I said, how they live, how they entertain, how their household works, whether I have a young couple, whether I have a working family, whether I have children that are coming home from college, and all kitchens are utilized differently today, but for any family, it's where all the action starts, and it's the heart of their home. And as an interior designer, and having specialized in kitchen and bath design, I'm really, okay, I have to stop for that. I think that function is the critical part of kitchen and bath design, but specifically in kitchens, I think it's important to know, first of all, if a client cooks, if they enjoy cooking, does their husband cook, do the children cook, because there are guidelines that are set by the National Kitchen and Bath industry that actually allow for space and requirements when you do have two cooks in a kitchen, or the area to separate where you have different work areas, you have prep areas, you have obviously areas for cooking.
Okay.
You have your cooking areas, you have, for example, if the children love to bake. A lot of times I'll do a drop-down location with the cabinetry, with the marble countertop, where it's very natural and it's fun and it's ergonomically designed. That's a serious function of a kitchen. A lot of clients will say to me, wow, is it important to drop down the level of a countertop? And actually, if you're in a bakery or a patisserie table, it's always at a lower level, and it's more ergonomically designed for rolling dough and for making cookies and things like that. The other thing is, the kids, a lot of times they start when they're very young, and it's a lot easier, and it provides a lot of enjoyment and fun for the family, so that's exciting.
Okay, let's cut there.
Okay, for me, when I design a kitchen, the most critical part, before I even talk about the aesthetics of the kitchen, the appliances that the client's going to use, space planning is the #1 thing that is most important, because in many cases, a client has a vision of what they would love their kitchen to look like, but they are not thinking outside of the box. And as an interior designer, and the strength of space planning, it's almost like interior architecture. With the help of a contractor, obviously, and the assistance of an architect, there are many things that I know that are feasible within a kitchen, whether it's moving doorways, whether it's opening up into the next space, which a client would say, oh, I would love an island, but they think they can't have it because they're not really looking beyond what they have. And by just maybe creating in an opening or altering where an opening is, I'm able to give them the island that they were looking for. It's also exciting because in many instances today, a client is trying to incorporate their kitchen into an adjacent room, trying to bring the whole family together, but while everyone is doing different functions, you can talk to people that can hear you, whether the kids are sitting at an island and they're doing their homework, whether your hubby's watching football on TV, if you're in the kitchen, whether you're watching Oprah and your husband's in the kitchen. The space planning is critical. You can also borrow from a space. I never walk into a kitchen and just look within the footprint of where the kitchen is located. I am in the next room around the corner, I'm in the adjacent room, because a lot of times you can borrow from that space to create pantries, to create additional storage, or to give you the allowance of having that island in the center by recessing some items on the side. With every kitchen project that I do, it's so critical to go to a client's home, because although they may bring a footprint of their existing space, when I visit their home, I'm going into the room behind the kitchen, the room on the other side of the kitchen. I get to see where the windows are, where the sunlight's coming through. And in terms of function, a lot of times a client doesn't have the actual footage within their kitchen to achieve maybe the use of an island, pantry storage, by either opening up entries into the adjacent rooms or borrowing from the rooms, able to accommodate things that they had no idea that they could accomplish.